everybody. Welcome back. Today we're going to be doing my little annual "What am I using" for the upcoming season video. We're going to do a rifle breakdown, and then in a follow-on video I might do a gear breakdown, but I figured I would at least hit the rifle. Not a whole lot has changed from this year to last year. I'm trying to go on kind of a consistency kick and not change a whole lot. I figured let's just get into it and I'll talk about some of the parts and pieces. Most of this you guys have seen before, but I kind of want to talk about the couple of things that I did change and why I did that. So, at the heart of this rifle, we have a Terminus Zeus action. This is the quick change model. You guys can see, or you might be able to see, there's a little set screw right there. There's another one on this side. What that allows me to do is it allows me to run quick change barrels. So when you get your tenons cut, there's a different profile in the tenon that you use for either a full thread or a quick change. And the quick change allows you to thread on the barrel hand tight, tighten those little set screws, and then be good to go. So it's really easy to swap barrels in a hurry if you need to, or just for convenience sake, be able to swap barrels. I like running it that way because I'm changing barrels out a lot. Here's a little case kind of behind where you guys are sitting right now that has probably 15 barrels in it, and I'm either testing things or just getting barrels spun up for once this one goes out, or different use cases. So whatever I might be doing at that point in time, I need to have the ability to change barrels. Now I do have a barrel vise to be able to throw on full threads. I do have a couple of full thread barrels. But for the most part, if I can use a quick change, I like to use a quick change. It's just a little bit of added simplicity. Now, there are some people that will say like, hey, you might have a point of impact shift if you're swapping barrels out, which is true. Especially from barrel to barrel, like you are going to have to check it. But I mean, I'm checking my zero at every match anyway. So to me, it's not that big of an issue. If I swap a barrel, I'm going to go check it regardless. So, it's not that big of an issue to me to have quick changes, because it's just as accurate at the end of the day. Once it's zeroed, it's not going to lose its zero. Um, so yeah, I like to run quick change barrels in my action. Now, for you guys that are aware of the Terminus Zeus, or if you've seen my other videos, you know that this is a 60-degree action. I have become very, very adamant about using a 60-degree action. I used to run a Defiance Tenacity, and then my wife runs an Impact 737. The 90 degrees have their place, absolutely, but I think the speed and the clearance of the bolt, like when I'm trying to get my hand in here, I'm not having to, I'm not getting caught up on my ocular lens whatsoever. It's just a nice, even pull up, kind of stop. You can kind of keep your hand in a more natural position. And for me, what I've found is that, when I come over and I grab the bolt and I pull up and I pull to the rear, when I'm pushing forward, I can literally just kind of swing down. And then obviously if I was in position, my hand is kind of naturally going back into a shooting position anyway. Whereas with the 90s, I feel like you're kind of fighting it the whole time, and it's just not for me. So 60 degrees are the kind of the way that I go, and I think the Terminus Zeus is the best 60-degree action out there. I've tried a couple others, and this is where I've landed and where I'm staying. I've got two of them, hopefully planning on adding a third here soon. So yeah, if you guys are in the market for a 60-degree, Terminus is the way to go. All right, moving forward from that, the barrel. So this is one thing that I have changed this year. I used to run K&P barrels. I have switched to the CRBs. So this is a CRB 27-inch Comp Contour 22 GT. Now, this is a 1 in 7 twist with the 169,000th free bore. And I've got two of these barrels that are cut the exact same way. This is the second one. I just broke this one in, and this one's actually shooting a little bit better than the first one. So this is the one that I'm planning on kind of going throughout the season with. Now, I do also have a couple of other backup barrels. I have a 6-dasher, and I have a 6.5 Creedmoor. So, if for whatever reason, I have not used the CRB barrels a lot. So for whatever reason, if this thing, just doesn't do what I want it to for some unexplained reason, I've got those ones as backups, but I don't think that's going to happen. There's been a lot of people winning with CRBs. So I don't think I'm going to have that problem. But like I said, it's there. I have those other ones just in case. At the end of this, it's going to be kind of hard for you guys to see with the suppressor cover, but I'll pop that off. This is a KGM R6 suppressor. Um, I'm not sure if they're making these anymore. If you go on their website, they don't have them on their website, but I think you can still find them at dealers. And I think if you call them and ask them, you could probably still get one if they still have them there. But I don't know that they're producing those anymore, which is kind of sad because to me it's kind of the best can out there. It is a 6 mil can, so obviously 6 Creedmoor on down you can use it on. I've used it on a Creedmoor. I've used it on my Dasher. It lives on the 22 GTs. I like the ability. One, I run it on the Area 419 mounts, so I can righty loosey and pop these off, and then they taper mount on, so they're always going to be aligned, and then they always return to the exact same spot when you put them back on. You'll never get them carbon locked onto your barrel, and then the mount will never get carbon locked onto the little adapter because they're reverse threaded. It's got the little radial port, so I make sure to close off all the bottom ones, so all that gas that's escaping is driving my muzzle back down. So this thing, with its weight plus that kind of directional compensation, the recoil is very minimal, and the rise of my reticle coming off target is also very minimal. So yeah, one of the best cans out there. I also have an R30, so on my 6.5 Creedmoor or my 7 Somme, I run the 30 cal can, just because obviously the bore diameter on that one's a little bit bigger to accommodate those larger bullets. But moving up, the Area 419 rings, I switched to those middle of last season, and I'm never going back. The way that they machine these rings and the little alignment pins and everything that they've got going on in this is top notch. If you guys have not tried these match scope rings, I highly suggest it. I also plan on trying I want to try their cantilever mounts on my AR. I've got a 13.7 sitting behind you guys that I want to put an LPVO on. So I think I'm going to try one of their mounts for that. And then I'm also building an NRL Hunter rifle. And I think I might take their new hunt rings and throw it on that just to save a little weight. All right, the star of the show, the thing that's sitting in those rings, right? This is a US Optics Foundation 25X. As you can see, this one has been custom Cerakoted. You guys know that I shoot for US Optics. I've been shooting for them for the last year professionally, and then I've been a brand ambassador for, I think, the last 3 years, maybe 4 at this point. Time is hard for me. But regardless, this is the 5-25 model. It has the JVCR reticle in it. This is a 52 millimeter objective lens. And then, as you can see, it's kind of a long package. If I threw a Leupold Mark V up here, which most guys are, it's kind of the ubiquitous standard these days that, you see kind of everywhere. If I threw that on with a sunshade, it would be right there with its sunshade. So this thing, without a sunshade, the sunshade would be there on this one. This thing without a sunshade is a fairly long optic, but the glass quality is phenomenal. It is illuminated. I've got a little button over on this side. You've got capped windage. And then the EREC system for how you zero this is one of my favorite systems that I've ever seen on an optic. There's 3 little screws up here, 2 that hold on the little top cap, and then the one in the middle gives you access to the erector assembly itself. So when you shoot your group, if you're high or low, you just pop that little cap off, put your Allen key in there, and then you can smoothly adjust your reticle to your point of impact. So you can kind of get in between tenths, so to speak, and you can always get your elevation dead nuts perfect, which I absolutely love. Like I said, 5-25, really smooth, really robust magnification throw lever. You're not going to bump this and get off on your magnification. I like that they left that portion uncerakoted. As a guy who used to do Cerakote, that's just like a little creature comfort that I really appreciate, because it's really nice contrast, white on black numbers, so you can see it really easily. This one does not have the internal bubble level, and I wish it did. The other US Optics Foundation that I have does have it, and that thing, even though I don't use it a whole lot, the thing that I found it absolutely best for is when you're throwing it in an action, like when you get your rifle all leveled and whatnot, you can use that internal bubble level to level the scope, and it makes throwing an optic in rings on a rifle a million times easier. And it is also nice because if for some reason my send it level, which I do have on this side that you guys can't see, if for some reason that were to die, I have an internal backup that, when I'm shooting, if that send it level were to happen to die, I'm not without a level. So I can literally just, in my scope, look straight down. There's my little inclinometer in there, and then I'm still good to go. So I do wish this one had that one, but, whatever. Beggars can't be choosers, I suppose. These have 11 mils per revolution, and the way that I have this one set up, let's see how much travel I've got. So there's 11 mils right there, and there's 20, 21, 22. So I'm at 22.4 total of what I can do with this. And on a 22 GT, that'll get me easily out to a mile, or at least very close to it. So yeah, with this setup, 22.4. So really nice option. If you guys are interested in them, if you have questions on them, you guys can go ahead and leave those in the comments, and I can answer a lot of questions. I've been using them for a long time. But yeah, if you guys are interested in them, go to usoptics.com. Just check them out. They're 100% worth the money that you're going to pay for them. All right, moving on to the chassis. Most of you guys have seen the ACC Elites, so this is nothing new to you. But for those of you that haven't, this is an MDT ACC Elite. I did Cerakote this black and orange. As you can tell, I'm a black and orange kind of guy. I do have this outfitted with the entire internal weight systems. This is the old weight system, so it's the 5 portion. My other one does have the one single one. I haven't noticed a difference in them. So for guys that are like, does it add rigidity, this, that, and the other, I don't think you're going to notice it. You're talking about, I think it's like a 1/10 of an ounce difference. I really don't think that you're going to see a difference. But if you think that having one solid chunk is going to be better for you, go for it. Go buy it. They still sell both of them. So, do whatever your heart desires. I do run the Baker wings on here. I will say, I love the Baker wings. I think it gives you a lot of stability. However, it does add a lot of width to your rifle. The MDT ACC Elite is already a fairly wide chassis. They widen the base for people that don't run these to have a wider base. So now with a wider chassis and wider Baker wings, I have run into a couple of issues at certain matches, just trying to be able to fit this in places that normally you wouldn't have that problem if you didn't run them. But I think the trade-off of having the added layer of stability, is really big for me. So I run them. I have gotten to the point where like I knew I was going to have a problem, and I did take them off for like one stage like 2 years ago. But other than that, I keep running them. I do have 2 sets of external weights up here as well. These are the newer model of MDT externals, and then you can see that I run 3 sections of Mirage bridges. The reason I run those is because, to me, I want the least amount of Mirage coming off of these barrels as possible. And especially when we run these big, thick profile barrels, they heat up and they stay warm really, really bad. So if you have that just radiating in front of your optic, you're gonna notice it. So to me, keeping as much of that heat kind of down and away from right in front of my scope is kind of what I want to do. Now, a thing that I've also kind of thought about, and I kind of wish that they would do, is obviously your point of view is right down the center line of the scope. I wish they would add little side vents or something here, so that heat could escape, but it's going to escape out and away from your point of view. So anybody at MDT, if you're watching, call me. Like I've gotten this close to just drilling freaking holes in this thing and seeing if that would work. But I'm not an engineer, so maybe one of their dev team guys could cut something up like that and see if it would work. But food for thought. And then at the back, I'm not sure. I think you guys can see this, but I do have the jellies in here as well. They don't work like they work. Like, I don't want to say that they don't work. They don't work as good in this chassis as they did in the original. Like, it was a night and day difference in the original ACC because there was no connector bar. They still are a phenomenal product, and they do work in this chassis. I love them, and I'm going to continue to run them. But the difference in this chassis is already a very solid chassis. The original one with how it had just this connection and it was just kind of flopping out back here, that one, it was a night and day difference. You shot it without it, you could kind of feel it was like a little ringy. You put those in there and it was just dead. This one, they put the connector bar, so this is mated firmly to here and firmly to here. So all this is doing for you is just taking that recoil and just kind of giving it someplace else to go and just kind of letting it vibrate into nothingness, which is good. You want that kind of redirection of recoil, which is good. And then lastly, you can see that I have their metal steel weight back here as well. I don't run a bag rider back here. I haven't really noticed the need for it. Maybe that'll change. I would like just one nice long bag rider like that. I've heard rumors that MDT might be making one. At this point, I'm so used to running it without it, I probably won't get one. The original bag riders for the ACCs kind of had that angle to them, so if you run them, they're going to be either angled down this way or angled down this way, and I just don't really like it. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with the bag rider. I could take it or leave it at this point. And then last but not least, I have a Bixnandy Taxport Pro X trigger. This one originally was a single stage. It's now a 2-stage. For you guys, most of you guys know that I used to work at Bullet Central, so I had a lot of time, messing with these triggers. I was the guy that was doing all of the repairs on them. So what I ended up doing is I ended up just taking this trigger from a single stage and making it a 2-stage. And I feel like I've started to see a lot of difference in how I shoot, going from the single to the 2. So I think I'm going to run with the 2. I might change it back at some point just to, kind of check it out and see what the difference is. But for right now, I think the 2-stage, that's kind of like the biggest change that I've made over the last few months, is going from single to 2-stage. And then up here, MDT Skypod, kind of the ubiquitous gold standard these days. This one is the PRS short. I also have the standard length. I have a double pull, and I just ordered a triple pull. So what does that make? 5 Skypods now. These things are sweet. I don't run the pan option. I've never liked pan. I think it gets you into some weird areas with how the recoil tracks throughout the gun, and I just don't like it. So I just keep it locked. But yeah, if you guys haven't run a Skypod or are kind of on the fence about running a Skypod, to me, I don't think that there is a better option out there. Now, obviously, they are a little expensive. But there's nothing else out there that I've seen that's going to give you the level of adjustability with the level of like being able to kind of be a jack of all trades, where you can find yourself in pretty much any situation and get away with these. And that's, like, I have pretty much every model now, I think, except for, on the standard side of things, I don't have any of the lightweights. But, if this one isn't tall enough for some reason, I'll just go throw on the double pull. But even this one, like, you can get, if you go narrow, you can still get pretty dang tall in the front. And that's not even, no, that is as close as it gets. But like I said, you can do a lot even with the little ones. So for guys that are kind of on the fence about it, if you're running like an Atlas or a, God forbid, a Harris, um, do yourself a favor, get an MDT Skypon. Those things are pretty sweet. So overall, that kind of hits everything. I'm trying to look and see if there's anything that I'm missing. I don't think so. So um, my plan for this year, now that I'm no longer working at Bullet Central, is to hit as many freaking matches as possible. Um, I've got the time now. I think that this is going to be a pretty good season. I had a pretty abysmal season last year, trying to find barrels, running things that weren't what I wanted to run, or having to take a barrel that I didn't really trust to a match a couple of times. I don't think things like that are going to happen this year. I've got a barrel that shoots, and I've got two backup barrels that I know shoot. And then obviously one being the Creedmoor. If I go to a match that I feel like I need to beat wind a little bit better with something a little heavier, I can do that. Or if I want to beat it with speed, I've got the GT. And then, I've got the Dasher just in case either of those, decide to fail me. So I think this is going to be a pretty good season. I hope that we have a much better season than last season. But my plan is to kind of take you guys along for the ride this year. Like I said, I've got a lot more time on my hands to be able to devote into the content making side of things. So as long as that stays true, you guys are going to see a lot more videos coming out of this channel, and hopefully a lot more videos that are, of substance. I don't just want to do match, um, like stage shooting. Um, I don't want to make white noise videos for you guys, is kind of what I'm getting at. I want to give you guys information that I feel like is going to help you. And then, if you guys have questions on certain things, or, there's not a whole lot of guys running these foundations out there. So, if I can give you guys a little bit of insight on those, that's kind of what I want to do going forward this year. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little rifle breakdown. I think in the next video, we will do like a match bag kind of unboxing type video, and kind of show you what I'm carrying at all these matches, especially because I shoot matches all over the country, and I shoot in every weather condition possible. I'm not a fair weather shooter. I'll go down to Indiana where it's 19 or dang near negative and shoot, and I'll go down to Texas where it's super hot. So I don't have a problem doing that, and I'll kind of show you guys things that I've learned, whether it be from my time in the military or my time just living in colder climates, kind of showing you guys what to do and what to expect, and things you can kind of do to tailor your gear to you when you're shooting in those conditions. So without further ado, I appreciate you guys sticking around this long in the video. If you did make it this far, go ahead and like the video. Leave a comment for me. That really helps me, know that you guys are making it this far and you're liking the content. And then leave me something that you would want to see, whether it be a cartridge breakdown. I do shoot the 22 GT, and there's not a lot of information out there on that, so I can kind of speak to that a little bit. I do have a rifle build coming up. Like I said, I am building an NRL Hunter rifle. I do plan on shooting an NRL Hunter match this year, so you guys will be seeing that here fairly soon. And then yeah, if there's anything else you guys want to see, just leave it in the comments, and then we can talk about it, and I can go from there. I also am getting more into the prepared citizen side of things, so I have a video about plate carriers and battle belts and helmets and kit and night vision and all that kind of stuff coming. So stay tuned for that. Alrighty, I will leave you guys with that. I appreciate you guys sticking around, and I will see you on the next one.